So then, Gift on the PS2. Now, when you look at this game, you probably go, good God, this looks terrible. But believe it or not, this little guy actually is just rough around the edges and holds some real beautiful charm. And I'll show you why. So you've seen the box art, and if you've never seen Gift or know anything about Gift, it was an idea conveyed by one person at Cryo Interactive, Philip Ulrich. He had this idea for about 10 years, supposedly, and he wanted to make a game about it. And he reached out to a French artist called Regis Loisel and said, right, design these characters, let's come up with this story, and we'll make a game together. But to do that, you need a developer. Well, they reached out to a startup developer during this called Echo Software. So remember this while I'm talking about it and you see more of this game. This was someone's first startup company game. And just expect that it's going to be rough around the edges for that too, and it was a very early launch window title game. So when you slap this skin, the first thing you're introduced to is one hell of a Euro pop banger. Just listen to this for a minute. I love this, still do. The actual introduction of the character may be weird, may be kooky, but just listen to some of this sweet, sick jam that goes on for this menu music. Yes, here he is, the main man Gift with his very unique design. Is he cute? Is he furry? Is he slimy? I don't know. Would you want to touch him? I know I'd like to have a drink at his bar though, that's for sure. Anyway, let's deep dive into my playthrough that I did with this during my PS2 challenge and show you why I think this truly is a beautiful, charming hidden gem that was also only ever released in PAL, and deservedly so, is a PAL underrated ugly duckling PS2 game. So, starting up Gift, you are introduced to the intro cutscene, and well, I've got to say that this whole introduction really oozes with some completely unique character design, some really unique looking openings, and obviously for someone's first ever game they've developed, there is a lot of surprising characters, a lot of interesting CGI, and honestly I really love the charm of how this game starts out. So these characters are all characters designed by the artist that they decided to go with this idea for their game. And as you can honestly see, every one of them has a completely different look about them to the point where there's some real funny looking attitude about it. It might just be me, but instantly when I started this, I loved seeing this kind of early 2000s design and look and aesthetics, and I was already really digging the charm this game had. Then suddenly, here he is, the main man Gift. He's a bartender in this game, and they're looking for a hero to save this character that we don't know about just yet. And, well, why not? We're running out of people that can save the world. Gift's gonna be our guy. So, Gift is then taken away to the commander, to this room, explaining the mission about having to help this princess. And as you just heard, he doesn't want to save the princess. He's not her type, until he hears this recording.
My name and I'm a princess. I'm waiting for my Prince Charming. They say I'm beautiful, alarmingly beautiful, or so I've been told. I've got everything you could ever want in all the right places, and more besides. But it's all been too easy. I need a prince, but I need to be won over. Oh, my sweet prince, my sweetheart,
Wow,
You will
a fish
have
of a
to face
lifetime.
1,000 dangers. I shall be sleeping at the end of this game. If you come to wake me with a kiss, you will win my heart.
On the lips. Whoopee! Okay, I'm your man.
What a funny opening, and that was it, as you can hear.
Invested. That was a banger of an opening. That's the kind of shit we want to be. Oh shit, we're in. That's the kind of
And
shit
that
I
was
want on
it.
PS2,
We
right?
started
Let me add
Gift.
these
Honestly,
games
I love charming, unique looking titles like this, and I was ready. I was ready to see just what Gift had to offer. So after that crazy, zany introduction, we are chucked into the hub world. Most platformers of this era, and some even today, have that hub world where we have this open area where we're going to go from stage to stage while trying to beat the game we're on. The game itself starts to introduce us to the interactable world choice system. It's a weird elevator thing. We go and use that later on, but when I started, I wanted to get my bearings of the game, so I started moving around, getting a feel of the character. The camera in this game's a bit jank. You need to press a button that sends the camera behind Gift to recenter it. There's no real camera control on the analog. It was a thing in these games, but, you know, it's what you expected. But anyway, we use the interactable elevator and go to the first stage. And as you enter the first stage, we are introduced to another cutscene. The cutscene, we start to interact and talk to the Shadow Man, or the antagonist of the game. There's a whole point of interacting and learning about Shadow, or the concept of shadow and darkness. It's the main gimmick of Gift, and as you go further into the levels of the game, you start to experience what shadow means. The first stage of Gift serves as a tutorial. It's going to give us a breakdown of everything that we need to know and how to survive and how to interact and how to manipulate the different points of the game. When we start to walk straight away, there's these little shadow evil looking enemies stuttering about. The second you walk into them, you instantly die. One hit touch is a one hit kill. The game wanted you to do that anyway though, because we start to see that the little shadows are invincible, and it's telling you to get to the switch. What we need to do when we get to that switch, we don't fully know yet, but it's another way that the developers have decided to apply learning by doing mechanics, which is something I actually really like, and it's very much a Miyamoto style way of playing games. Gift has something very unique which very few platformers of this era and even today really had. It has a reticule as well to show you wherever you land when you jump and when you are going from platform to platform, that I really like. That's just something I really appreciate. But when we do get to that button that we're told to get to, the lights go out and darkness is cast over the stage. What does that mean? Well, the shadow enemies don't have a way to be a shadow. Thus, they are part of the darkness, and as this game is portraying, they are now dead and defeated, and we can now get past the barrier that was once there. Like I said earlier on, light and dark plays a big aspect to Gift, and it's a really unique feature of a game that otherwise I think very few games would ever have come up now, and even then the concept of this is something very few people would ever manipulate or use then as well. There's a reason I find charm in a game like this. It's a person's first ever game they've developed with a team, and there is some real beauty amongst the jank. As the game goes on, we carry on into the first stage. You saw that Gift has a weird stick in his hand. It's a staff, and for the time being, serves as a way to attack and protect himself from getting killed by enemies that aren't shadow enemies. There are other enemies you can defeat, but not everything is able to be defeated with this weapon. There are some enemies that are weaker and smaller though that we can try and deal with. But there is a button, as you can see early on. I'm pressing it and there's a door that just keeps shutting. I'm a bit confused about it, so whatever the case is, I can't deal with that, so I move on. But later on, as we go around the corner, there's another enemy type. There's this weird bug enemy. I don't know exactly what or how I'm meant to do with this, so I keep whacking it with the weapon again, and it stops moving. And as you get near it, Gift can pick it up. And obviously, as I start using the cogs of my brain, clearly that this must be what the developers want you to do. Take it back to the switch that Gift couldn't do on his own, because when he steps off it, it gets removed. So I put the bug on it. And as the bug is put on, I am rewarded with an extra life, which is the weird tier thing, and a collectible as well. That's what I really like though. Love rewarding by doing extra things that you didn't need to. Later on though, we also are discovering also what Gift's little stick star thing does. It can earn abilities. We find the first ability here, this yellow power. The yellow power of one of our first powers is the ability to cast light. As said before, light and dark is a big impact of this game, and light is needed in dark areas, otherwise we'll instantly die. Using the power button, we can summon this light orb to keep ourselves alive and carry on going through the stage. There's a bar on the right, which is, I guess, serves as your mana bar, and if it runs out while in a dark area, we will die. So you gotta make sure that you keep running around, collecting any possible little bits of mana, the yellow orbs for the time being because we're using yellow magic. Keep that up, otherwise Gift is going to faint, die, and we'll need to do it again. Once traversing the darkness though, we are also given another little cutscene tutorial scene where there are also light enemies. Like with the shadow enemies, if light is cast already on a light enemy, they are one and the same, they can't coexist, so they are defeated as well. It's just another lovely way of showing basic game design and game mechanics to the player for the later levels. For an early launch 6th gen title though, the real use of shadows in the game engine is really clever. You're going to see another really cool example of what they do with shadows here. There is a robot in this room that looks like it has no arms or legs, but there's a light cast on the robot. There is a hidden arm that is revealed in the shadow that points to go to the left here. What that's doing is telling the player that if I go up here, there's an extra life, but also there is another collectible. I finally got the last one, 10 out of 10. If you do find all the orbs in a level, you get a little extra orb on your life bar, which just gives you extra health that you otherwise didn't have, an extra little bit of life to absorb damage and keep yourself alive during the stages. But look at it, I just really loved the use of shadow in this game, and they use it throughout most of the game as well. But when you wrap things up, this is the end of the stage, and like most of the stages similar to the first one, a cutscene is played when we get near the end. The little in-game cutscene is usually just some comedy relief for the player, and once that's done, sometimes near the end of the levels we find a statue. The first level has one of these statues, and I didn't know what it was to begin with, but it is a dwarf statue, which is a gimmick for the main game. We're back to see more Gift as well at the end of the first level, and we show off the first of the dwarfs we have found. Then, once again, more charming, goofy Gift animations are seen as we try and fall in love with this very unique, very odd protagonist that is going to be our friend for the rest of this game. When we go on to level 2, we are introduced into a new area, and you've just got to get used to your bearings, and the shadow demons are very much present. One-hit kills from all these guys, but we've already been told how we need to deal with them and defeat them. As you can see here, the game is already giving you hints. There's push blocks as well in this game. We've got to find ways to obviously cast shadow to get rid of them, and that's what we do. We push this block against these guys here, it vaporizes them, and we deal with them. But the real thing you're meant to be doing is, during the beginning of this stage, there are 2 shadow guards guarding this door. And no matter how close you get to that door, those guys will instantly kill you. And, well, you can't go through that door. We need to find other ways what we need to do, and that's what we've been doing throughout this level. Also, during this level, we are introduced to a new ability. It's the shadow gun. This actually is another cool feature that will be used present throughout many points of the game, and it's puzzle solving. Once Gift has done his goofy introduction to the weapon, the shadow gun has a very cool, unique ability actually. Every time you shoot a shadow with a shadow gun, it will actually freeze it into place, which is going to be used for a lot of different puzzles. What I really like though about a game is when it explains mechanics at the beginning of a stage and also then gives you like a very basic way of learning it. As you can see here, I've walked through these light beams and it causes something to happen. There was an extra life in this room, it's fallen in a hole, I can now no longer get that extra life, but it gives you a reset button. So now learning with the shadow gun, I can shoot shadows as the game told me, and it's frozen the life into place. I can then get the extra life and earn it to move on. Also, I'm given a bonus collectible as well to show off that from the devs, well done, you worked out how we're meant to use your gun, and also we've given you a bonus little collectible for doing so. So as we also learned early on, Gift is no real combatant. He's got a staff, he can kill some enemies, but most enemies in the game are going to kill Gift in one shot. With our shadow gun at ready though now, we're able to manipulate enemies when we can, and prevent them from attacking us using the shadow gun. Once we see here, I've shot the enemy shadow on the wall that is cast, I'm able to be saved, run past him and carry on through this level. As the stage does carry on, more and more things start to open up and we start to learn more about combat, exploration and surviving. With our light orb ability, we learned that we can also cast light on these enemies ourselves, which really helps deal with the light enemies. Of course, with light fully cast on them, they are becoming one with the light and can no longer exist. And there is just, I don't know, so much charm and stuff that for a game of its time, I just would not really see too much ever again, I don't think, in the PS2's library. And that's what I really like. Even these platforms, I think I see what they were trying to do. You can kind of see the outlines of them, really, but I think if they were better technology or better ways to develop what they wanted to do, they wanted the platforms to be invisible and you couldn't see what you had to do. The whole point, though, of that room is to then find a switch further on in the level which causes a roof to appear. The roof appearing causes the room to be in darkness, removing the barrier to get through the door that we couldn't get through before, and surviving and being able to carry on with the game. I feel there's some real charm though with this game. There's a puzzle aspect about it, but also a platforming minor collectathon aspect about it, which really gives this game depth. As you can see, also GIF shrugged at the end of this level. It means that there wasn't actually obviously a dwarf to find. There are more than 7 levels, but there are 7 statues we need to find. Now, I don't want to give you a play-by-play, stage-by-stage overview of everything, because I feel like if you love the look of this game, you should give this a go. Not only is it a very cheap title still to this date of recording for the PS2 library, but it's also available on abandonware. Yes, this is also a PC game, and if you love the look of this game, then I really feel like you should give it a go. But I will show you some other aspects just before, more the other abilities that I think they do some really cool ideas with. There's the purple ability that we just gained on another level. The purpose of this is it's the shadow ability, or the way to hide yourself in the shadows, which is used in some puzzle aspects as well. The shadow ability has a very unique ability where there are some rooms, as you will see here, you shrink in size. What that really does in this game is prevents Gift from jumping long distances. If you don't have the shadow ability when you go into this room, you won't be able to solve the puzzle that the game expects you to. Once we go on this switch, which we need to use to progress through the level, we are then left with a room with platforms you can't jump between. But because I've activated the shadow ability, I'm in my normal state and I'm able to still jump. This is what the shadow ability does, and there's other ways to do it later on to keep yourself from being manipulated by light powers, because we're hiding in the shadow power rooms. In a couple more stages, the next power you discover is the blue power, which allows you to cool down objects, or freeze objects is what another real way of saying this power does. It's going to be another use of puzzles. As you can see here, there is a big dangerous fan that's going to kill us. But with the power of our new ability, some really nice ripple effects actually go off and we're able to prevent fans from slicing us to bits. This game has some real nice features. Once again, I will keep pouring my heart about this game. I don't know, really love the different levels of platforming and the different puzzle aspects that keep you going and changing things up as levels go on. Aesthetically as well, as you saw, we're in temples, we're in castles, we're now in a futuristic area. It keeps on expanding and making the game interesting, at least for me. You can't have a platformer game without an ice level, and during the ice level we are giving a fire ability. The cool thing about the fire ability is you can trace this little coal ash trail, and it only is on these weird little spark panels, but doing so, the interactable spark coal thing that you create and then setting it off like a fuse will set a fire trail off, and the fire trail will keep going until it hits flammable objects. Doing so reveals areas and progression blocks that you otherwise didn't have. Once again, what a lovely, cool little, I don't know, ability and interactable thing of an early launch PS2 game that really I thought looked awesome. I will quickly mention though that during one of the puzzles on this level, on the ice level, there's this weird, real janky block moving puzzle you need this block for progression, and there's just an issue where it will despawn if it goes off camera, so you have to really be careful where you're looking while trying to get this block to the other side. As you can see here, I'm trying to keep the camera focused on that block, but if it leaves the camera just for a second, it goes away. It's a shame really, but there are some weird janky limitations this game starts to show on later stages. This is one of the more frustrating puzzles I remember, and it took a while because of having to make sure that both you and the box were on the same screen the whole time, and not only get there to the other side and then make sure you could quickly grab the box and then carry on. If you're too slow, you'd miss and fall down or lose this box. So with all those skills in mind, you must use all your abilities, your wit and your willpower to get through the various puzzles the game sets out for you. There's a load of mix of varieties with the shadow, with the abilities, with the powers, and also a bit of platforming in between. Just make sure you keep your wits about you, but it's a really fun mix of puzzles and platforming till you get to the end. So while going through every stage of the game, we've been collecting various gnomes. At the moment we're on the count of 6, and on the last level, level 11, obviously we need to find the last gnome. As the game loads up, I'm prepared for a final stage of maybe all the different things I've learnt into one thing. The level seems very odd, and suddenly the gnome is right in front of you. It's quite a shock to me, and I feel like, wait, no way. Even I'm a bit shocked. Is this a giant debate? Gift gets all amazingly excited. This is the end of his quest. He's found the princess, or at least the princess must be here somewhere. And yeah, things do really get goofy and stupid all of a sudden. Once again, a stupid, charming, weird European flair to this series of cutscenes. Even Gift calling us out. He wants us to finish and get to the princess, because obviously there seems to be clearly one big thing on his mind. With all the dwarves at hand though, the magic that he wants the player to do is to put the dwarves on different coloured toadstools. Once this happens though, another cutscene occurs. Gift gets excited. It clearly is time to finally complete the game, but yet another debate happens. Something's not right. What's going on? We did all the dwarves, we collected them all, but clearly something is amiss.
Hey you, player! Back to work! He's back!
As said, it's not over yet. Clearly something else needs to be done.
What is going on?
Now the weird thing is, I love Gift, but I feel like this last stage, the gimmick of it is really monotonous and frustrating. You're stuck in this glass box, and this glass box is going to be your, well, companion cube, to say the least, throughout most of the stage. You can push it in the direction that you're facing. And as you can clearly see, you can only push it if there's nothing in front of you. You are stuck in this for a very long time, and it's used throughout a lot of the level. Don't get me wrong, there's some really neat things they start to do, but also there's some weird jank as well. There's a little hole in that room, and as you saw there, sometimes enemies can clip through it when I don't think they're meant to and kill you, setting you back to the beginning of the stage. I feel though the pace of this stage really gets slowed down because you're constantly having to drag this cube and do a puzzle in each area with it. And I don't know, I really, even like looking back and talking to you about this one in particular, there's so much about it that just slows it down to a real halt that I feel they should have really only done this for a short part of the level and then done something else. But this gimmick is a consistent thing that really kind of sucks, actually. Eventually, though, there is a way that you can escape the confines of that cube, and then you get to carry on with the next part of the stage, which is a mass room of using all your abilities at once to get through to the very end. So be prepared to use your skills to slow down blocks so you don't get crushed. You've also got to set up fire trails without getting shocked by evil beams to remove barriers in your way, and with the power of ice to freeze obstacles that you could not otherwise cross, because Gift is a very squishy little lump. Once you do the stage fully though, we find the missing top of a toadstool, and it feels like deja vu. We get to see the same cutscene again. Once again, Gift gets excited. The true goal is at hand.
Of course! Why didn't I think of that before? I'll have to use magic to open it.
So with the 7 dwarves in hand for the second time, let's see what Gift has been fighting for so long. Yes, one smoking hot babe is what is waiting for Gift at the end. And just like that, they go off
They're gonna bang
into the distance to do whatever they like. And
holy fuck,
that is how Gift ends. No credits.
holy
That is
fuck.
how it wraps up. That is the beauty of Gift's complete ending. Truly a way to finish what is a gift. So that is Gift. Now, Gift is no perfect little game. There are some problems that I will quickly talk about as well. But as a full package, once again, this was someone's first game they developed. There isn't really any huge issues about it. There is a game behind this, and I feel like there's a great puzzle system to this. And there are some issues like most games. Every game's going to have its issues, every game's going to have its problems. I'll let you know some of the issues, but some of the good things as well that keep the balance to make this game an overall really, honestly, not even mediocre experience. I feel like this game, just because it looks bad from the box art, doesn't mean it's a bad game in general. One of the real issues about this game is that it plays like an old school PlayStation 1 platformer, by which I mean if you run out of lives, you get sent back to the main menu and have to load your save. This does mean that I have to keep coming back to the first stage. It's the best way to farm lives, so you have to spend a little bit of your time in between levels if you start running out of your life pool in the bottom left corner there. Constantly visiting this first stage, you get about 10 lives during a run. It does take a little bit of time. Yes, there's no continue and resetting your life total back to a certain amount, or maybe you feel better collecting more lives before doing the next level. It makes sense. I do this every now and then. It's a little bit counterproductive for some people, and I will just mention this now. Yes, you do need to farm lives to make sure that, you know, there is no real major problems when you're in the middle of a long stage and then having to redo the entire thing again. Farm lives, like I said, so you don't have this issue of getting frustrated when you run out of that last life on a nearly long final stretch of a puzzle section. Sometimes the camera and the general movement to see enemies, keep enemies on screen, knowing where you're going can also be awkward. It's an early release platformer again. Developers, especially first-time developers, didn't really understand the best way to manipulate camera movement and help control camera. This game does have that issue. You have to keep centering it behind you with a button. So if you really hate camera controls, be prepared for that. This game does really have a really bad way of keeping the camera in front of you. So I'll give you a heads up about that issue as well. One bonus positive thing I will mention though is, including the collectible orbs on each level to increase your life, there is challenge rooms hidden throughout certain levels. If you can beat these challenge rooms, Gift gets extra abilities. There are ones that increase his strength, ones that give him the ability to increase his life or regenerate life on the stage. I love bonus content, and sometimes I go for 100% beats during my playthroughs. These little bonus rooms was something I thought was really charming. If you feel like doing it yourself, go for it. They are hidden throughout different sections. They are time trials, boss battles, enemy fights, different objectives, and if you can do all 6 of these, you unlock cool extra little passive abilities. You don't need them to beat the game, but it's little extra bonuses that the devs gave you that, you know, you feel good doing so, and if you want to go for that 100% beat like I wanted to, it's something extra to enjoy. The devs also wanted to do their own spot the pop culture references. This one, as you can see here, is Silence of the Lambs. While playing through, have a little fun along the way and notice some yourself. And as said, I really loved Gift. There aren't really many bad and good things I can say about it. It's a game, if you saw what I've been talking about, what I've shown you and explained to you, if you want to go for a true, unique, early puzzle platformer on the system, go for it. I even went for the 100% as you see here. Sometimes I do. Such a great game. Honestly, Gift really is a gift that I really think more people should play or talk about or even just enjoy. There's abandonware on this. You can get this really cheap, at least in PAL. Anyone out there worldwide that wants to give this a go, give it a go. Gift is a literal gift. I love Gift. Please give Gift a go yourself, and maybe you'll love the little red lump yourself. Hey, but that's just me maybe. Gift really was a great, unique experience on an otherwise full library of great banger platformers that this gets buried under. There are my views, there are my opinions. Gift is the gift that will keep on giving. It's a shame we never saw much more of Gift. But believe it or not, Gift did actually do semi-well, I guess. It got a TV series that is available on YouTube if you want to go check out more Gift and his CGI worlds and characters. Though it is in French, I didn't think it got an English translation anywhere. But they are my words, they are my opinions. Thank you for watching, and until next time, just remember, there are always those little hidden gems that I'll be finding and showing you during my PS2 challenge journey. Until next time, thanks for watching this video, and have a great day. Peace out, everyone.